All right, so welcome back to the day 2 of our Git tutorial. So in this tutorial, we're going to see how we can create a repo and what repo basically means. And then we're also going to start our first project, which we can use to like um, do all the examples in this course, right? And we're going to get ourselves familiar with the first few commands that we are going to need for managing Git repositories. All right, so enough chit chatting, let's get started. Now, in this course, I'm going to use Unity as the project. Okay, so I'm going to use a Unity game as my project. All right, but you can use other like any other projects as you want, but I'm going to use Unity for some reason. The main reason is that this is going to be a little bit hard for us to manage something. We can talk about some like advanced techniques of Git, some things that is more game related. If we use a like easy project, you might not get those kind of challenges, so it might be a good idea to use this. And the reason is basically this channel is mostly for game development, so it's going to be easy for the other people who are interested learning Git for game developments. Anyways, but remember, this knowledge is applicable for all the development areas. Okay, so if you are using Java program or if you're using web development, it doesn't matter, it's going to be easy and it's going to be applicable for all different applications. So just for demo purposes, I'm going to use Unity. All right, so just I'll be back when this installation process is done, and then we can start talking about Git. All right, guys, so I have created a new Unity project. It looks something like this. It has a lots of folder. If you are familiar with Unity, then you will know that Unity creates these folders automatically when you create a project. Um, we have some asset folder where the actual game stuff is kept, and we have some other folders. So what we are going to do here is that we're going to create a Git um, reference in this directory. All right, so similarly, if for example you created a Java project, always go to the root directory of the project. So for example, when I created this Unity project, this is my root directory, right? Git tutorial, this is the root directory, this is all the component of my project in that like in that project, right? So this is the root directory where my project starts. So this is where I'm going to create that Git repo. All right, now what is Git repo? So Git repo is a fancy way to say that this folder contains all the Git contents, right? So this folder contains Git, and anything that changes inside this folder, any subdirectory inside this folder, any file in this folder, everything in this folder should be affected by Git, right? So Git will have the reference of all the changes that happens to this folder. That is what Git repository means. So currently there is no Git, so that means this is just usual folder. So when I initialize a Git inside this folder, this folder becomes a Git repository. So this is the first term that we have learned today. So I'm going to keep a note of all the stuff that we're learning. We have talked about Git repository. If my spelling is not correct, pardon me. A Git repository, this is basically a folder that contains Git. All right, this is the easiest way to think about it. The folder that contains Git, and anything that goes inside the folder, Git has the like Git has the idea what is going inside that folder. Git has all the records. It's just like a time machine. Okay, All right, so I'm going to keep this in my desktop. I'll give you guys this later on. Okay, so next what? So next up, I'm not going to show you anything regarding Unity. I'm going to close it. Yeah, so next up, we're going to create the repo. So we have a folder. The folder does not contains any Git. That is just the project that you have created. Okay, so even if you have a previous project, it's going to help you, right? So you have the projects example. You already have that project in there. Now you want to add the Git inside that project. So what we're going to do, we're going to start a local repo. Okay, so we're going to click on that, and then we're going to initialize it in that folder. Now I am going to go to my folder where I created that project. Should be in here. Select this folder, and now in here, what happens is that if I start writing this, they actually take that folder inclusive, right? So that is why what we're going to do, we're going to copy this part, the name of the folder. So that is going to be the name. Okay, so in that way you are in the correct directory. Let me explain it again. So when you start a repo, when you're browsing, right, so you should browse to the until this, but you're not going to select this folder, so that will create another new folder inside this directory. You're going to go until this, and then you're going to name the repository as the name of the folder. So I'm going to select this, and the name of the folder, the name of the repository is going to be the name of the folder. So for me, the name of the folder was Git tutorial. All right, so the name of the folder is Git tutorial. So that is the name of this repo, and the initialize in the directory is going to be here. All right, I hope that that was clear. Now there is a git ignore template. We're going to talk about that later on. So I'm not going to actually select anything here, so it's going to be confusing for you. Initialize with LFS, we're going to talk about that later as well, so I'm not going to select that. And the default branch name is by default main, so we're going to keep that default, and then we're going to create repository. All right, so see, just after I did that, this happened. Okay, this happened. So they already created this empty initial commit, and after that we have all these things that are they're saying it's something called unstaged files. All right, so yeah, so what are these files? These files are all the things that you can see inside my folder, right? So these are the asset scene meta. So all these files or all these folders are basically reflected in here, and you can see there is library folder, all the things that is currently inside my project. Okay, now what I can do here is that I can select each of this, or I can just stage all of them. We're going to talk about what is the meaning of stage in a while, but we can click each of them, and we can just click on this little button here. You can stage that file. All right, we can stage this file, or if you want, you can click on stage all changes, and then all these things will be go somewhere called staged file. Now let's talk about what is the meaning of these two things, staged file and staged file. So basically how Git works is that when you have some changes in your local, Git has no clue yet what have you, like, Git has no reference in here that what are the changes that you have made. You have to explicitly say inside your commits that what are the changes that you have made. So unstaged file means you have not submitted those files into Git. Okay, staged files means these files are now ready to be committed or to be submitted inside Git, right? So we have just learned three new words: staged, unstaged, and commit, right? Staged means these files are now ready to be submitted inside your Git. Commit means the submission process, right? So when I'm saying the stage file are ready to be submitted, so when you submit something, that is basically, in the world of Git, we call it commit, right? So after we are we are sure that okay, these files are okay, so I'm done with this file, this file is ready to be submitted, this file is ready to be submitted. What I do after I'm sure, I'm going to stage that file, right? I'm going to stage that file, and then after I stage that file, now I have a little nice things that okay, these files are ready to be submitted, and all the other files, they are not ready to be submitted, so I have not staged them, they are still on unstaged file. So when these are like when I have some files, those are ready to be staged, now I can write a commit message to describe the changes that I have made, right? So I can say uh, created Unity project, and then you can, if you want to give some more description that what that particular thing does, you can write it here, but this is pretty clear for me, so I'm going to just click commit changes to 4 files. Okay, so when you do that, you see there is a new one here, right? So these things are basically the commits. So what is the significance? Commits are basically the submissions that you have done inside your Git. Now remember, we have not done anything inside GitHub yet. So when I'm saying submitted into Git, that means now this Git has all the information of your changes. So that will help us to go back to this commit, right? So if something went wrong, if we now run our project and if we see that okay, something is not working, we can easily go back to this commit. Okay, so these things are basically commit. Let's do another commit. Let's do something here. Say I want to commit, I want to do some changes in my project. I'm going to add a new game object. Again, this part you don't have to understand this. This is just for the game devs out there. So say I am going to create a new cube. I'm going to save this, and if I come back here, now you can see there's this YOLO stuff, right? So this thing is called modified. So that means I have modified that particular file. I can now stage that. Okay, so this is all the changes that I created, and I can say that okay, added a cube in my project. I can commit that, and that is now added in here, right? So now I have 3 commit. If I don't want this, I can click on here and reset this. We are going to see that later on, but you got the idea that we have all the changes recorded in commits in our Git repo. All right, so this is called commit. Now I'm going to stop the tutorial here because it has been almost really long. In the next tutorial, we're going to see that how we can use the git ignore, right? So in the start of the um, project creation process, you saw that there was a folder, there's a selection called git ignore, right? So we have not used that yet. So in the next tutorial, we're going to see that. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next tutorial, and till then, take care. Bye bye.